depending on the combination of elements from the metalloid or non-metal group, we will be able to produce lang either organic or inorganic compounds. So may man nga compounds that are neither organic nor inorganic. So during our first lesson, we have already defined organic compounds are as those compounds which contain carbon and hydrogen. Carbon gijang hydrogen. So ang requirement. So the rest of the substituents, pwede lang na siya. No? So we say here that organic compounds always, the operative word there is always, contain carbon and hydrogen, and sometimes non-metals. So ang sometimes kung carbon and hydrogen, you have methane. Ang sometimes yung hinahambal niya non-metals, pero some carbon dioxide. Your carbon is tawag na mixed with a non-metal, example of which is your oxygen, to form carbon dioxide. Next, we have compounds rather that contain carbon. But they are neither organic or inorganic. Ang balta, ang may carbon, organic. So, butang balon, in short, ang opposite sina, inorganic. Pero, hambal naman sang literature, there are carbon-containing compounds that are neither organic nor inorganic, pero limited lang na sila. So, they are the compounds of carbides, carbonates, and cyanide. Tatlo lang ni sila, so tandaan, tagini dapat. Ano ang carbon-containing compounds that are neither organic nor inorganic? Yung sabat, tatlo lang kabilog. You can answer in symbols, or you can answer in words. So you have your carbides, carbonates, and cyanide. So how do we differentiate? How do we differentiate organic from inorganic compounds? So there are four properties that tutay lang, for us to differentiate them. Number one is we have your bonding. So it depends on the type of bond that is present in the compound. Number two, you have Duanica properties, which can be found sa inyo dara nga periodic table. You have the melting and boiling points. Katatlo is your solubility in water. And lastly is the combustibility. Combustibility, butang balon, masunog siya. Masunog siya in air. So, let's take a look at the bonding. So, as na-mentioned na kon earlier, and if you have clocked in early, kung early ka mo nag-clock in, so I played an organic chem introduction video which tells us that the importance of knowing what valence electrons is. Dibla, na-mention ta, ganing valence electron, it is equal to the group number of the element. Also, it refers to the number of electrons that are located in the outermost shell or orbital of the atom of a certain element. Karon, ano na ang significance pagid sa valence electron? It also tells us how many bonds can that element form. So, to sa video, it says that kay ang carbon has 4 valence electrons, so it is able to form 4 other bonds with other elements. So, if you're talking about hydrocarbons, hindi na siya mabond. So, mabond na siya with the H element. Okay, going back, now if we talk about ng hydrocarbons, we are talking about covalent bonds lang din permi. When we talk about covalent bonds, this refers to the sharing of electrons. Kami ara man niya ginatawag nga bonding nga exchange of electrons. So kung exchange, ionic na siya. But when we say sharing of electrons, so we are referring to covalent bond. No? But there are two types of covalent bond. May ara nga complete sharing, ating kapatid, di ba, may ara man niya ginatawag nga unequal sharing. So, kung equal sharing, ang aton nga compound is neutral, wala siya charge. Amo na siyang natawag nga non-polar covalent bonds. And that is a property of organic compounds. May ara man niya nga non may ara man niya nga tawag nga polar covalent bonds. Ano naman siya katabo? When the sharing is not equal. No? Butang balon, laban-laban ang positive sa isa, di kung laban positive sa isa, ang isa ka imo element will be negative. No? Muna siya ang unequal sharing of covalent bonds. And this is uh, a property also of ionic compounds, which is common for inorganic compounds. Kung ano na siya ang inorganic compounds, it will be discussed at the end of this tawag na ng differentiation. No? Kaya let's go to organic compounds. Ano naman na siya ang organic compounds? Low melting and boiling points. So, boiling and melting points are physical properties that can be found sa inyo nga tawag na nga periodic table. So, if you can take a look, pero syempre yung compound wala dira, you can find the melting and boiling points of certain compounds over the internet. So, for example, of organic compound ng methane. No? Methane. What is methane? Methane is CH4. No? Sino makakita? Dala, liyaw ko search, ano ang boiling point sang methane. Here, nag-search.
Negative 161.
Negative siya kay it's a gas. Butang balon nubo nga temperature ga boil na sa. That's why sa aton nga normal temperature nga 30 degrees, 32, no? Ano na siya, gas form na siya, no? As opposed to iron nga bili ko bilang tawbi, ano ang boiling point sa iron? So, ang sa literature, ang CH4, melting point niya is, grabe, no? Negative 161 degrees Celsius.
1,535, ma'am.
Libo-libo, di ba la? No? So, muna siya, na it explains na low melting point, no? Ang organic compound, ang inorganic compound, yung very high melting point, no? So, isa lang ka-example lah. No? Next, we have your solubility, no? Solubility. So, meaning soluble, no? Matunaw siya sa tubig, no? So, we say here that organic compounds are not very soluble in water. Example is when can you mix crude oil with water? Can you mix crude oil with water? Hindi. That's why problema na siya ang mga oil spill sa dagat. No? Because your water doesn't mix with ng crude oil, which is an organic compound. No? Dali naman niya, inorganic compound most are soluble, no? Unless non-polar na siya. So, example of your inorganic compound is your acid, which is your sodium chloride or table salt, no? So, if you put the salt in water, kaglugayon mo na siya, so it dissolves, no? So, again, organic compound not soluble, but organic compound soluble. Next, we have combustibility. No? So, kung mag-introduce ka the spark in an open space, then you have a crude oil, mag-burn bala na siya. Yes. No? So, because it is an organic compound. It is a property of an organic compound. As opposed to, ang asin. Isilaban mong asin. Masunog ba na siya? No, hindi, no? Wala siya naga-produce fire. And then it doesn't turn into ash. Mano lang siya ma-burnt color lang niya, but it doesn't go up into flames. So, during a part, we have discussed what organic compounds are and compounds that are neither organic or inorganic. Okay, next definition is what are inorganic compounds? No? So, inorganic compounds, are often ionic. And ionic compounds are usually a combination of metal and non-metal. So, if we go back to our periodic table, so we will have metals here, no? The blue ones combined with the non-metals here. And we will produce tawag ng ionic or inorganic compounds, no? So, two examples are given here. So, if you are to react sodium with fluorine, sodium is a metal, no? Classified as a metal, but hindi siya metal sa aton nga ng jargon kay magsilita metal solid kag shiny, no? But that's not always the case. No, so we have sodium, a metal, and fluorine, which is a non-metal. If you react them together, it will produce sodium fluoride. So, di makita ang sodium fluoride, it can be used as an additive sa toothpaste to prevent cavities. So, they coat our teeth so that it will not allow bacteria to stick sa aton na unto. What else is inorganic? So, you have your nang tawag na ano ganing rust sa Ilonggo? Rust na-expose ko lang metal lang na gani.
Tok-tok, ma'am.
Tok-tok. Yan, tok-tok. No? So, if you have iron and you expose it to air, no, air has oxygen, and oxygen is a non-metal, so you produce what we call ferric oxide, or tok-tok. Tapos na. No? Tapos na. So, ma-check ta anay before we go to the second learning outcome. Okay. Instruction is to identify each of the following as a formula of organic or inorganic. No? So, duwa lang pilian, organic or inorganic. So, let's take, for an example, letter A. You have potassium chloride. Is this organic or inorganic compound, and why? So, domicile lang and why? Anybody?
Inorganic, ma'am.
O nga Brian, Mark Brian.
Why sa na, ma'am, sang carbon kag hydrogen, ma'am?
Ano pagit? Correct na siya, ano pagit?
Kag chloride, ma'am?
Composed siya of what type of elements? Pero ikaw Kaya mo nga pag-define what it's not, no? What it's not. So, wala siya amoni. So, in terms of kung ano may ara siya. Oh. Duwa ang pwedeng explanation.
May carbon sa, ma'am.
Wala na to, sakto na to, wala carbon. You describe it in terms of ano ang wala siya. O karon, i-describe mo naman kung ano ang may ara siya that makes it inorganic. Sakto na to una mong sabat, no? Kaya wala siya carbon kag hydrogen, no? Check na siya. Ano pag itang other definition?
So,
Romilin. Nag-ubo lang? Ano man?
soluble sa, ma'am.
Who's answering?
Pras, ma'am.
Sige. Pras. Ano yung answer?
Soluble sa ma'am. Maano sa ma'am. Matunaw.
Let's concentrate on the composition. Sakto na tong sabat ni Albo, no? Kaya wala siya carbon, wala sa hydrogen, no? On the other hand, may ano siya, potassium is a metal, and then we have chlorine is a non-metal. So, KCl is an inorganic compound. No? Okay, next. C4H10. C4H10.
Organic. Organic, ma'am.
Sinong na-answer? Olain naman. Albog yapon.
Organic ma'am.
Why? Why, Pras?
Kaya may carbon sa mga may hydrogen.
Wala na ibang chemicals no, or elements. So, this is a hydrocarbon, no? Or, sorry, an organic compound. How about F? How about F?
Organic yapan, ma'am.
Why?
Composed of ma'am, carbon, hydrogen, kag chloride na.
What is chloride? Hindi siya masulod sa definition.
Sa organic.
Sa and other elements, no? Ang matabang organic compounds composed of carbon, hydrogen, and other elements. Tapos ang ginumerito ang oxygen, nitrogen, then you have halogens. No? Okay, tatlo lang examples. Okay, let's go to our second tawag ng learning outcome. No? We have mentioned there, identify the classification or classify hydrocarbons. No? So we have hydrocarbons are the simplest class of organic compounds and are composed solely of hydrogen and carbon. So this class can be further divided into two groups. Now, ang organic compounds, under some organic compounds, we have hydrocarbons. So, ang hambal sa organic compounds, carbon and hydrogen atoms and other elements. But when we say hydrocarbons, puro-puro lang na siya nga carbon and hydrogen. And this class are divided into two. We have your aliphatic hydrocarbons and aromatic hydrocarbons. So what are aliphatic? No? So aliphatic hydrocarbons can be classified based on the structure and the bonding of the carbon skeleton. So if we classify it based on the structure, no, it can be divided into saturated or unsaturated. So magsiling ka nga saturated, the compounds consist entirely of all of your carbon are bonded together to a single bonds, no? However, magsiling ka saturated, dira na bilong ang duwa ta ka other broad classification of hydrocarbons, which are our alkenes and alkynes. So, alkenes and alkynes are known as unsaturated. Butang balon, ang ila carbon, no, they are connected to fewer than 4 neighboring atoms, no? Kaya magsiling ka nga saturated, no, ang kada carbon is connected to 4 other atoms, 4 different atoms. Pag magsiling ka nga alkanes, ang carbon mo connected sa tatlo lang ka other atoms. Magsiling ka naman nga alkynes, connected lang ang carbon mo sa 2 other atoms. So going back to alkanes, they are saturated again because each carbon is connected to 4 other carbons, no? Saturated, no? So there is a sub type of alkane, no? Alkane can be straight chain, but it can also form a ring, no? So if we have an alkane that forms a ring, then we call it your we call it your cycloalkane. Okay, let me just share no, a picture of what a cycloalkane looks like. Siya, cycloalkane. Na, kita lang, cycloalkane. So, hindi siya diretso, no? So, it forms, ang AI mo, carbon, naga-form sang loop, no? Carbon atoms form a loop. So, these are examples of cycloalkanes. Okay? So, in contrast, no, alkenes and alkynes naman, no, they are known as unsaturated hydrocarbons. So, sulito na naman kay, no, the carbon atoms here are connected to either 3 or 2 na lang other atoms or neighboring atoms. No? So, alkanes contain double bond, no, while alkynes contain at least one triple bond. So, aliphatic, muna to kanina, no, we have what we call also aromatic carbohydrate, carbohydrate, hydrocarbons rather. So, siling kang aromatic hydrocarbons, the other name is arene, no, which contains the benzene ring. Ano na siyang benzene ring? Amo na siyang sa illustration. No, it is a ring of 6 carbons, no, with alternating double and single bonds as opposed to the cycloalkane. Magsiling ka nga cycloalkane, ring man siya of at least 3 carbons, no? Pero, single bonds lang tanan. But when we say benzene ring, 6 gina siya, no? Wala siya galain-lain. So, 6 ginang carbon that forms a ring, no? And the carbons are connected with each other, no? Alternately by double and single bonds, no? So the benzene molecules and its derivatives are the basis for aromatic structures. No, common ni siya nga component sa mga bulong na bla, mga ginapang inom tana, no? If you can take a look at mga tawag na mga para sa ilanat na bla na they contain no a molecule of benzene ring. Kinahanglan na sila nga i-describe because many organic compounds exist as a combination of aliphatic and aromatic hydrocarbons. Buta malon, may benzene ring kabe nga isa, dason isang mga carbon connected na siya sa laba-laba nga alkane or alkyne. So it's a combination. So that's it for learning material 1, ang bilis ng pangyayari. So let's go to the learning material 2. So ano naman diri? No, we will now take a look at alkanes. So diri kita na sa may aliphatic, no? Ang aton nga studyohan ni Jaya for the semester are aliphatic hydrocarbon. So, inintroduce na siya si benzene ring to differentiate no how it looks how different it looks from your aliphatic hydrocarbon. So, under aliphatic hydrocarbon, we will be studying alkanes, alkenes, and alkynes. So, for this lesson, we will be writing the IUPAC names, no, and draw the structural formulas, write the chemical or molecular formula of alkanes and cycloalkanes. So, Kita na sila pagtingubon, we will go with the straight-chained alkanes sanay. So, alkanes are, what naman? Organic compounds that are made up of single bonded carbon and hydrogen atoms and do not contain any functional group. So, they are subdivided into the following groups. We have linear, straight-chained alkanes, butang balon. Kapuridas, tanda in a long line ang carbon atoms mo. May natawag nga branched alkanes, no? Ang isa ka H dara gin-replace sa, if you watch the video that I have aired earlier, so makita nyo to, yara kita nga alkyl groups nga vinyl, alkenyl, no? Na butyl, then. So muna siya ang mga branches, no? That can replace H or hydrogen in a linear straight-chained alkane. And lastly, we have your cycloalkane. So how do we draw? No, how do we draw the linear straight-chained alkanes? So una-una, we will determine, no, given kung pila ka bilog ang carbon dira in an alkane, pila ang hydrogen that are connected sa sinang structure, no? So there is a formula for that. So the formula is given by C sub n, no? Wherein refers to the number of carbon atoms, no? And then the formula to compute for the number of hydrogen for that specific compound, no, is just 2n plus 2. No? 2n plus 2 refers to the number of hydrogen atoms. For example, hindi nyo yan, pag lang tawang sa dalum para hindi ka mo ma-distract, no? Talaga. Okay. So, how many H will be attached to an alkane with a single carbon? Pag siling ka single, syempre, anong butang balon sinet? N, no? N is equal to 1. Anong butang balon? So, ang aton nga, so this refers to the number of carbon atoms. So, hambal naton, no? Hambal sa definition, di naton, no? The number of H atoms is given by 2n plus 1, no? 2n plus 1. No? Kaya sa aton example, we have a single atom. No? If we substitute n, there is a formula. We now have 2n times 1 2n plus 1 ba to? 2n plus 2. 2n plus 2. 2n plus 2. So, 2n plus 2, 2n, 2 times 1 plus 2. Pila tanan? What is 2 times 1 plus 2? So, this is equal to 4. So, ang butang balon sini, for isa ka carbon atom, may ara siya H ka hydrogen atoms. So, if we write the molecular formula, we will now have carbon 1. This is a subscript, no? Then we have H. H is equal to 4. So, ang H hindi siya normal siya. So, amo na itsura sa aton nga chemical or molecular formula, no? However, no, kung may ara kita coefficient nga 1 or subscript nga 1, di ba wala tanan na ginabutang, no? It is understood to be equal to 1. So, carbon or an alkane with a single carbon has the formula of CH4, no? And this is actually our methane or the simplest alkane, no? And the most abundant, no, alkane on earth, we have your methane. Klaro na? Klaro? Feedback? Thumbs up kung klaro.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, how do we draw it naman? No? How do we draw? So, hambal ta dito, ang carbon atom has 4 valence electron and it can form bonds with 4 other atoms, no, or neighboring atoms. Hindi na ako mag-drawing. I-forward ko na lang yan. So, therefore, we can draw an alkene with a single carbon as such. No? So, structure niya is we have carbon in the middle and your carbon is connected to 4 hydrogen atoms. No? Okay, let's do number 2. Let's do number 2. Oh, how many H naman daw will be attached to an alkene with 5 carbon atoms? So here our N is equal to class, N is equal
What?
to
One.
ano ganing N?
5, ma'am.
N refers to
Five
the number of carbon atoms. No? So this is your carbon atoms. No? So what is your H atoms? Your H atoms is given by the formula 2N plus 2. No? So substituting 5 in the formula, we'll now have 2 times
2 times 5 plus 2.
times 5 plus 2. Sundan? So what is 2 times 5?
Yes, ma'am.
So you have 10 plus 2. No, you add them up, so you have
12,
12.
ma'am.
So we can write the chemical formula as C. C, pilang carbon atoms ta?
5,
C5.
Five.
And H is equal to
12,
12. So the chemical formula of this example is C5H12. So we will learn later that C5H12 is actually our pentane. So how do we draw this naman? No? Simple lang, tama. No? So we now have, i-draw na ang carbon atoms. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now after drawing the 5 carbon atoms, kumpletuhon lang ang 4 ka bonds kada carbon, and then from it, we attach our hydrogens. So, ang balta, 12 ang hydrogen, isipon tabi. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So, this is the structural formula of an alkane with 5 carbon atoms. Question? Question?
No, ma'am.
O wala. So, get a notebook. Yung activity kita. Okay. Notebook and ball pen. Okay, write the molecular formula of alkenes for carbons from N2 to N1 to N10 o minus ng N1 kag N5 kay naoperatan na. So you will do 8 items. Instructions are given sa aton with chat box as well. Write the molecular formula of alkenes or carbons from N1 to N10 and show your calculations. So hindi pwedeng gulpi ka na lang nag-CH4. Wala ko nakita kundi halina. No? So you should show N equals 1 to N plus 2 equals 4. So you have CH4. No? Dapat mo na mag-answer. Okay? Do that for 7 minutes. I'll check at, we will end here, and I will check your work at 10:55, no, before we dismiss. And see if it's correct. Unag advance si Albo.